All right, in this video, we're going to talk about my intake manifold. We got a Mopar Performance M1 tunnel ram. It's dual carburetor intake, obviously. 4150 flanges. Made by Mopar Performance. They're pretty old. I don't know how old. I would imagine, if I had to guess, I should look. But if I had to guess, it's probably from like the 90s. I don't know. I just know it's old. You see there's some corrosion on it. I actually got this as a gift from my parents. A guy on eBay had it, I believe, and they bought it for me. Just surprised me one day. I was excited. This is the kind of stuff that, you know, you want to receive as a gift, obviously. Who wouldn't? And so they got me that, and I was excited. So I started buying my carbs and everything else for it, getting ready. Poured it on it a bunch. So these are made by Mopar Performance, and it's kind of corroded, but there's the part number. P4532067, something like that. Okay, and this is highly modified by myself. This was not it did not look like this down in the plenum at all when I got it. There's like an X that went across this plenum, like going this way and this way. Down here, it connected down there and there. You know, and then there and there. So there's an X across, and then the top of these runners where this is rounded, I rounded it, this is flat. And that sat on it when you took the top off. And the top's just bolted on with 2 bolts on each side, kind of chintzy, but I'll probably just put the 2 bolts and then I'll put a gasket or silicone, and then I'll even like lay a bead of silicone on the outside, like tape it up like seam sealer and actually make it look nice. But that way it doesn't leak, because I've heard they leak. They can, so some people weld them together. I don't want to do that in case I want to take it back apart and pour it on it some more. Who knows? But it's really almost poured as big as I can get. This is much larger than it was. These are I might have a standard gasket. Here's a standard gasket laid up on it, just for reference. Let's line the bottom up so you can see how much I actually poured it on it. I mean, we're good. Easily a 1/4 of an inch or more bigger, probably more like 3/8, and so it should flow some more air. And then on my heads, I made these spacers, 1/8" aluminum with a thick Hughes Performance gasket on both sides. There will be. And what the spacers do is they lift the intake manifold up, and I had to ream my holes so that because as it lifts it up, you know, the holes aren't going to line up, so I reamed them out, slotted them, and it makes it where what I did was I poured this intake as big as it would go, and then I raised up the intake with these spacers to where the floor lined up with the floor of my head. That way I could take as much meat out of the roof as possible. I could take the meat combined of the floor and the roof on the intake and just take it out of the roof on the head, which is, you know, what you want from what I've gathered. And, you know, it just makes sense, you know, to pour it out of the roof if you can. There's a lot of room on those Trick Flow 240 heads. So that's what I did. I raised them up and made these spacers at home, you know, just cut it with a Sawzall and freaking aluminum bits on a die grinder, and just made it all work. Put me some little button-headed screws in there, so to hold that together. And there's a gasket in between there. I'll probably actually glue or silicone this all together, at least on that side. That way this is just like one unit and it doesn't leak as bad or at all, hopefully. So that's where we're at. This is where I poured it through it. I had a guy weld it for me. He did a really good job welding it. I just finished pouring it tonight in this port. You can't even tell it was ever touched, besides out here, which I don't care. It's not a show vehicle, just trying to go fast and look cool. But yeah, super excited about it. Just wanted to go make a rundown of this intake here and just kind of talk a little bit about it. So I'll make some more videos as I go, but I'm gonna finish setting up my carburetor linkage and all that tonight. And there's like a bracket that bolts down here. It's actually for a small block Chevy linkage, I think, so I'll have to modify it a little bit. And yep, that's where we're at. So let's get another video of the inside here in the plenum, and that's let's finish this thing up, and we'll get it painted nice and silver, make it look decent. You know, I'll try to make it look at least decent. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want it to look this ratty. I'll repaint everything while it's apart. I mean, why not? $20 worth of engine enamel goes a long way in making your car or truck look nice when you pop the hood. So I will just post some more update videos as I get along here, and I appreciate you listening. All right, thanks. Have a good one.